Oh yeah. Welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an All Purpose Life, wherever you are today and however you are listening to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast. Thank you for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you change the world, baby. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, the Twitter, which is blowing up right now. Thank you for joining our show. Please like, share, subscribe. We got my main dude, football talk with Bo back in the house. Man, you know what? This is your show, man. This is your show too. I'm just here with you, man. How's your weekend, brother?
Doing great, man. How are you? I mean, other than our game
how I'm doing. We're gonna talk about how
games.
in general. We're talking about how I'm doing. But I didn't even realize it in all my show prep and everything. I didn't even realize that today was the anniversary of one of the greatest attacks on our country. I didn't even realize that, man. But one of our poll questions today, I changed it up. One of our poll questions is, where were you on September 11, 2001? Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one of those memories that gets forever stamped in your mind, right?
Right.
So I'm here on the West Coast, so that it was morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I early in my career, I worked at automotive dealerships, right? And so I worked at a dealer as Dodge of Bellevue, and I want to say it was like right around 9 a.m. I think it was, and just normal work day up until that point, and then someone says a plane hit a tower, and so we all end up walking out of the shop and into the waiting room because that's where a TV was. Mm-hmm. And I think our entire shop just sat there watching the screen for, I think we probably all sat there until, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then, some people ended up, just leaving. Some of us went back to work. You tried to get something done for that day. But yeah, no, it was crazy. I mean, we literally sat there and watched 5-6 hours of coverage on the towers getting hit. What about you? Where were you?
Well, I was working at UPS. I was in the I wasn't driving. I was in the business center, and I was there for probably there for a good bit of time. But maybe it was probably about 5 years that I was working there by that time. And I was not in the office when we got TVs in the office, but they're not used for television. They're used for monitoring business processes and stuff like that. And I had stepped out, I guess, and everybody was like making noise. There was a lot of chatter, and they were saying and had the TV on, and it had New York in the upper left, upper right hand corner. I can't recall. And I was like struck because that's my hometown, I mean, I'm from there. I'm not a visitor. I'm from there, born and raised. So I know a lot of people there. A lot of people. Thousands of people I know personally. So you think all kind of stuff. And we stood at that I didn't make any phone calls when I was doing the same thing you did at your shop. Staring at the screen for like 2 hours. Trying to figure out is this for real? This legit? What's happening? And it was kind of vague in the beginning. It wasn't a lot of clarity in the beginning. We kind of just like we just standing there watching incomplete information, Once we found out what it was, your boy freaked out.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, my mom and whatnot, she was talking about I had an appointment in there this morning. I'm like, first she didn't answer the phone. And I couldn't reach her for hours. I'm like, whoa. So I was having me a little bit of a fit. Come to find out she had an appointment in the building that day, and she was supposed to be there.
Oh wow!
But she got the reason why. But she decided she didn't feel right about going to the appointment. She felt like she needed to cancel it. Imagine if she didn't, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's the kind of stuff that I think about, and it was crazy. My day was ruined. I mean, honestly, when people lost their lives, but it was nothing. I wasn't good for anything that day. Zero. I think they sent me home early. I was done. I mean, I couldn't produce anything. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, okay, so who else did I know was in the building? I'm looking for details and names and list them. Like, this is just bad, But it just, I think at the end of the day, I don't want to rehash that so much because it's a horrible memory. But I want to thank everybody for their service. Those had that first responders, police, fire, ambulatory services, those people who are working on our behalf, first responders. Just thank you guys for all that you do. We really appreciate you and the sacrifice you make for us and for our families, our military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. We just thank you guys, Armed Forces, Reserve. Just thank you guys for all that you do for our country. It's appreciated. I know it doesn't always seem like it is, but from this show, Bo and I appreciate you guys, and we thank you so much for all that you do for us. And you're fighting on our behalf, man. I mean, it's so easy to take life for granted, man, and just be like, okay, tomorrow I'll be here. I'm gonna go ahead and just piss today away. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's not a wise approach to life. People want to party today and don't worry about the effect of your partying tomorrow. And it's like this kind of stuff is sobering, man. It makes you think. You know what? Today has value. Use it wisely, because tomorrow is not promised to any one of us, and you just never know what tomorrow's going to look like. So I hope you guys are thinking about that. I know we talk about sports and life and family here too, but I wanted to put that out there. Any other thoughts, Bo?
No. That you pretty much got it there. It was incredible to watch that city come together and rally around, especially the first responders. The ones that were still running into the building as they were starting to collapse, and I mean, it was an incredible thing. Definitely thank you for all the servicemen that sacrifice so much every day. Still, really, because a lot of those people that were involved that made it through have a bunch of health problems because of all the debris that came from those buildings. So, cheers to all of you that are out there that either sacrificed or are still battling.
Absolutely, thank you, brother. Well, there is definitely a lot to get into. I got a couple of poll questions up on our Twitter pages. I'm not sure if it's on yours, Bo, but it's definitely on mine. First poll question: where were you on this day in 2001? You don't have to relive any kind of gory details if you have those. That's not the point. I just want to kind of think about where we were, provide some perspective to a pretty ugly situation. So, where were you on this day in 2001 is one of our first poll questions. September 11, 2001, in case you weren't aware. And the second poll question we had was, who are you most confident in gearing toward a playoff? Mac Jones of the Patriots, Jimmy G of the Las Vegas Raiders, or Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos? Who are you most confident in, to even get to a playoffs? I love Mac yesterday. He did fantastic. We'll talk about that later, but we're going to go there because me and Bo had a poll a while back about, we had a little contest about D-Hop and where D-Hop should go. New England or Tennessee?
I mean, both took L's yesterday.
I feel as though, to a little degree, I was validated just a little bit. But it's only one game. But I just kind of felt like, you know what? If D-Hop was there, he probably would have did a lot better than what he did where he was at. But anyways, let's jump into the college, because I know NFL is going to take over the game. It's going to be the start of the show for the next 16, 17 weeks. I get that. But there's some good stuff going on in college, man. Do you see Colorado knock out Nebraska?
Oh, man, that was quite the game.
I was expecting more of a contest. I mean, I don't like
it would be.
I didn't have Nebraska high in my rankings or anything. It wasn't that, but I expected them to do something a little bit different. And what ended up happening was, I think it was what was it, 36-14. It was a drubbing.
Oh yeah,
to say the least. What did you see, man, that you noticed about the game, man? Because besides all the hoopla is going with Coach Dion and the team going 2-0, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype around it because it's Dion and everything. It's not like Nebraska's a great team, right? So I expected to see a little bit better defense out of them, but I didn't think it was going to be some barn burner. Like, that's just not. It's not the kind of game that was going to be. But I didn't think they were going to beat them down either. So
me either.
But for the second week in a row, they couldn't run the ball, and it's something that I noticed in that first game. I do like how much better their defense looked last week to this week. But the inability to run the ball when they get against some top ranked teams, that's going to probably be the losses that they get, because if they can shut down your passing attack and you don't have a running game, if you're that one dimensional, there's not a lot you can do to come back in a game like that. And, the Pac-12 has 6 ranked teams. So, I mean, it's not like it's going to be an easy path. And say they even make it through the SC and the Oregon State, you get to the championship game, you may be squaring off against Washington, which is another top flight team. So I don't think they're going to be a national, title playoff team. But I do think, they'll be a bowl eligible team for sure. So, when you think of it in those terms, like they were a 1-win team last year. So to go from 1 win to a bowl eligible team, that's a huge step forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, when I'm hearing all this, they're going to be in the national title conversation. I don't think they are, unless they can correct the lack of running game.
I'm not saying that. Who said that? I don't see that.
Because there's overreaction in football seasons. That's the chatter that's happening now. So, and then of course, they're saying Sanders for the Heisman, which I could actually kind of see that. He's putting up some yards for sure. If he can keep putting up 300 plus yards a game, he'll be in the conversation.
Without a doubt.
But as far as them making it to a national title, I don't see that being a thing year one.
There's some things going on here that we definitely need to look at, because 58 rushing yards against a team that I don't know how many games they're going to win this year. Yep. That's kind of concerning, man. Like you said, if they go up against somebody who actually has a real run defense, or a real defense period, it's going to be a nightmare. So this is all good and everything, and then there's some issue with the penalties, especially I think the last 2 games, but this game I saw a lot. There was a lot of penalties in this game.
Yeah, undisciplined play, which that surprised me.
Yeah, you would think that they would have more of that with Dion, but then we talked several weeks ago. I'm like, sometimes with the personality and the demeanor, sometimes that breeds a lot of a lack of discipline. Now, my grandson doesn't listen to this show. His mother might hear it, but I'm going to talk about him a little bit real quick because I think there's a really important point here. He plays football for middle school, right? They got him as a DB running back. And what's going on there, what I'm noticing is that he doesn't study and watch a lot of football. Now, I'm doing that so he can always do it with me. He's always invited, but he doesn't want to do that. What he does is he goes and watches YouTubes of Shador, which is Deion Sanders' son, the quarterback of the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yep.
He goes and watches highlight reels of what they're doing, even in little, I don't know if it's a pickup game, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's not actual games all the time. And he has a little game he plays on his phone or his console that is, kind of like, it's not Madden, but it's kind of like that for college. And this is his range of experience. He's fighting for a starting spot, and he watches YouTube videos. The discipline area. When I go watch him play games, this is what I see. I see a lack of discipline. I see a lack of footwork. I see he got coaches, but I don't know what he's learning. Got a lack of footwork, a lack of hustle in some areas. Not doing the simple thing like catching the ball and that kind, not blocking, just little things like that. And it's like, when you got all these little highlight reels and everybody's looking at this YouTubes and stuff, that's what you have. Yeah. What do you expect to happen on the field? So I'm concerned that kind of carryover that we see in our culture is going to carry over onto this team, because it seems like it's always starting to happen already, and everybody can get hype and have marching bands and whatnot. But if you're not playing football with discipline, you're going to get smashed. We'll talk about that one later too.
So to that point, a friend of mine, his stepdaughter, he took her snowboarding for the first time last year, right? And so in a similar fashion, he's like, all right, so, we're going to go snowboarding, whatever. And she's like, oh, no, this is going to be easy. And he's like, oh, yeah? And he's like, yeah, I've watched tons of videos on it. And he's like, okay. And obviously it was not easy, because you have to put the work in. You have to learn how to balance. You got to do all of those things, learn how to turn and grind. And it's just like, you're not getting that from watching a video. And so I to your point, if you're doing it for football, yeah, I mean, you're running around, but it's not going to be crisp, and you're not going to be able to cover just because you saw it on the screen, or be able to throw on a dime. Like that's 10,000 reps to get to where he's at. So it's it's funny seeing I saw it on screen, I can do that. And it's like, I mean, that's not quite how that works.
Right. No, I understand that. Let's move on to Texas and Bama. I know my family's out here in our comment section. The Herbert Watch podcast always representing our show, and we love them so much, man. We try to do the same for them as well. Big Bama fans out there, man. I don't know how they feeling right now, but Texas in a statement game over Bama, 34-24. I think it's the first time that Nick Saban got beat at home with double digits. So Texas is doing some things out there. We heard Texas's name a little bit in preseason about what they're going to do with all the shifting going on with the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and everything. But did you expect this, man? Did you see this coming, or was it just a surprise to you?
I mean, it's tough to beat Alabama in Alabama, right? So I wouldn't have bet on the Longhorns to do it, but it's not like it's a huge shock, right? But I mean, they're a beatable team. They're not the Alabama that they've been.
Come on, man. Let's go to the bathroom, Herb. Come on, Herb, man. Hang with us, brother. We need your insight, man. You watched the game, man. We didn't watch the game. I couldn't even see the game out here. Come on, man.
I just saw highlights from it. I didn't have it live.
We need your perspective, man. Come back from the bathroom. Go ahead and flush and come back. Come on. We need you, man.
You took your phone in there with you.
Yeah, until he returns. Let's go ahead and move on. USC routing Stanford. Now, that's not really considered a marquee matchup, but I think it's significant because of all the changes going on with Stanford.
Yeah.
Potentially finding a new home. Never going to play. I mean, they play each other. I don't know how many times it's been, but probably hundreds of times playing each other, and now they won't ever do it again. It's kind of sad, man.
It is.
Got these rivalries and this stuff. And you mentioned it in your area with Washington and Washington State. But got all these rivalries been going on for so long, time-honored traditions, and now they just boom, they just blow it up now.
That's where it was. That's why I think like Wazoo and Oregon State ultimately come to the Big Ten. And I liked that when Colorado went, is going to the Big 12, so is Utah, Arizona State, right? Because those are rivalry schools that are close together. So it's nice to be able to have these organizations keeping these rivalries intact, for the most part. Whereas the ones in California, they're kind of getting split up.
Yeah. Man, 49 points in the first half. They laid the wood on them boys in Stanford. But wow, Shake Back Media Group saying good morning. What's up, fam? In the house. Good to see you guys. Well, Sam Hartman. That's a name that I never heard of until about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. This man is going to Notre Dame and doing some stuff. Are you impressed by that so far? Have you got a chance to see some of the stuff on Sam Hartman?
So I haven't yet. Okay. So I've been hearing his name pop up, but I haven't seen any Notre Dame games yet. Just ran out of hours in the day.
No, that's okay. I think the first game that Notre Dame played, I'm blanking out on who they played. Oh man, I don't want to say Navy and it's wrong, but they played.
No, I think you're right though.
If it wasn't Navy, forgive me, guys. It was somebody in that vein, and they beat them down. Sam Hartman probably put 40 plus on them that day. But this game is a little bit different because they play NC State, and NC State has what they consider a very stout defense. They had the longest active streak of keeping opponents under 30 points in 16 straight games, which is a pretty long time, especially in college. Well, the Irish, led by Sam Hartman, came inside there and hung 45 on the Wolfpack. So now people paying attention to him now because now we got like 2 straight games with 4 more touchdown passes. We're talking about rushing. We're talking about just 4 straight touchdown passes they're doing it in the air, man. So I don't know if you guys even think anything about Notre Dame, but it's something to think about, something to watch because his name is definitely floating around. So think about Sam Hartman. You're gonna hear that name probably more than once. All right, uncomfortable and last thing on the college football, MSU and Tucker suspension. Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that one.
All right. Well,
what do you got there?
this is I guess relating around some sexual harassment with a female involved with the team. So the head coach of Michigan State has been suspended pending investigation. Now I know a lot of Go Blue fans are jumping on that and saying, "See, this is what you get." And I'm not going to be doing any of that stuff. I think it's messed up. Anytime even when I heard about Northwestern not long ago, anytime I hear about that kind of stuff, I think about the kids and the families. It really is just a sad situation, man. I feel bad for them, man. It's not even about rivalry, man. It's about, wow. Yep. You got a position of authority and you got people who follow you, a leader.
Exactly.
You can't be connected to this kind of stuff, man, ever, period. And it's not even speculation for a lot of it, because some of it he actually owned in an official document, owned something that he was being accused of. That's a wrap, baby. I mean, you can't be involved with that kind of stuff. And he was, and it's just really sad, man. I know a lot of Michigan fans are looking at that thing a little bit differently, but the fact is that, man, this is a person with a family, and the person that was offended or harassed got a family too. And you got all these kids that are part of families, man, that are playing for this team, and now their coaching staff is probably going to be in upheaval. I think they had some issues before that even happened, because an issue with their coaching staff and who was going to possibly be let go. There was a little chatter about it several months ago, probably in the offseason after they had a really bad season last year. But just a shout out to everybody at MSU, all the players, the coaches, and the families, man. Sorry to hear about this. Hope things work out. I don't know where to go with that next. I just know what to say about that. Any thoughts about that, brother? We can move on to the NFL, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hate to see that stuff because, you know, you're supposed to be able to feel safe around those groups of people, right? Yeah. Whether it's coaches or teachers or, you know, whatever. Yeah, I mean, not that it's good any other time, right? Like, it's always bad. But when you are in a position where you're supposed to feel safe with that person, that's even worse. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully it gets worked out in whatever capacity it should. I mean, you know, if they did all these things, then they need to be removed for sure.
Fair enough. Shake Back Media Group chiming in about our second poll question. Who do you have more confidence in the playoff? Jimmy G, Russell Wilson, or Mac Jones? Shake Back says Jimmy G if he's healthy. Wow. Okay.
I mean, so this is where I agree with him.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with skill set. He just happens to be on a roster when teams win a lot. So whether he's the reason they win or not, he has a really high winning percentage as a quarterback, even if his numbers aren't amazing. And when you watched him head to head, I mean, he made more plays than Russ. I mean,
that's fair.
And he even had a bad interception where it bounced off one of his receivers. You know, it did a Tony type right through the hands into the defender.
That's what we call it now, a Tony.
A Tony.
Wow. What's the new name for it? A Tony. Oh wow.
You know, and so that stopped them from getting another touchdown, right? Because it happened in the end zone, and that wasn't on Jimmy. But had they lost, he would have got crushed for that, right? And be like, oh, he did a Jimmy thing. He threw it in the, you know, threw a pick in the end zone. But like that pick wasn't actually on him. So for them to come back and win, because I mean they trailed most of the game. It was good to see Jimmy get that win. And to his point, you know, if he can stay healthy, sure. Because for whatever reason, even if Jimmy throws for 12 yards, somehow the teams win when he's on the roster.
Ooh. I don't normally chime in on my own poll question. I leave it to everybody else. I let you kind of share one and everything, but I know we're going to get there a little later in the show. I don't want to do it now, but Jones looked good. He
You
looked
know, so
good, man.
so
He
the
looked good against the Eagles, and that's like everybody's picked to go back to the Super Bowl and potentially win it. That's what they're talking
yep,
about, man.
yep,
He looked good. He
he did.
was solid against them boys, man.
He
I
did.
think he was like 329 yards.
Yeah,
He
no,
was,
he had a
he was
good game.
good,
I mean,
man.
overall, that the team played well. They were
Yes.
they were a little bit outmatched, but I mean,
If Hunter Henry and Gasecki stay healthy,
yeah,
it, it's some things are going to happen. The fact they lost
yeah,
that
no,
game I was shocked. I was disappointed too. I'm like, wow, they played so good. To see them
they
lose, like,
looked better in that than I thought they would, for sure.
yeah, man. I'm surprised that I don't have any Mac Jones votes yet. I'm very shocked by that. But we got more time in the show still. That's totally fine. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. But all right, NFL Week 1, we are here, brother. Been waiting for
Yeah,
this for weeks now. That first game, let's start right there. Detroit and KC. I know you broke it down because I was all in, ready for football to start, man. Wow. We
yep,
knew that Travis Kelce was going to be out. He tried to jump in there and play, but that wasn't happening for him.
yep,
Chris Jones up in the stands eating snacks. He said he ain't playing.
yep,
Okay. So what's Detroit going to do? Definitely going to run up the middle. Anybody would, right?
yep.
And that's what they did, man. They used the run to set up the pass, which was pretty smart. Mahomes had last year, I think he had like 5,250 yards passing and 41 touchdowns. So he's coming inside there with some pedigree and Super Bowl championship to boot as well, man. But Detroit had multiple run plays. They were doing sweep and counter plays all day long.
Yep.
We're successful in the first half, man. They look really, really good, man. These guys missed the playoffs the last 6 years, so this was a defining moment for this team. I know we had a poll. I had a poll right before, I think the same day or day before Thursday. I think it was Wednesday. I think it was. Everybody was saying Lions, Lions, Lions. I'm like, wow, they're just discounting the Super Bowl champs. So Lions just going to win outright, huh?
Yep.
But look what happened, man. They actually came out there and beat the big boys, the defending champion, and did it somewhat soundly. What do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's why I picked the Lions. Is when
What?
you
What?
I did for pick'em. I picked the Lions.
Yeah, I remember that, but why'd you pick them now? Your reason was different.
Yeah, I picked them because they have the ability to score, and without Jones on that defense, I don't trust the KC defense. So that's why as soon as I knew that he wasn't going to be there and then Kelce was going to be out, I was like, oh, the Lions definitely have this. So the one storyline I don't like is, they're like, oh, this win has an asterisk because Jones wasn't in there and Kelce wasn't there. And it's like, well, I mean, you still had a lot of talent on that roster and you got to beat the team in front of you, right? Yeah. Every week during the season, there's going to be somebody gone. So that's just football. Someone's going to get hurt. They're going to be out, whatever reason. And so I knew that as soon as those guys weren't going to be there, if the Lions won, they were going to be, oh, did they really beat them because these guys are out? Or if you lost, it's even worse, right? Because you're like, oh, you couldn't even beat them without these guys in there. So, I mean, it was almost like a lose-lose situation for the Lions. But, at the end of the day, it goes as 1-0 in the stat sheet. So that's the number that matters for the Lions. But, yeah, I mean, KC doesn't have great depth. So if their starters are in, they are the world beaters that we've come to see. But as you saw in the preseason and, of course, yesterday, or I mean, Sunday, or Thursday, I guess, they don't have great depth. So as soon as one of their main guys is out, the guys that are stepping up, it's a significant drop. Now, obviously,
no question.
You don't expect Tony to not be able to catch anything all day.
I do.
I mean, yes, you do. But, but I mean, he was out there swatting balls away like it was a bee chasing him. Like he wasn't trying to catch nothing. It reminded me of the late 90s, early 2000s Seahawks where we led the league in drops.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody, like I said last week, there's nobody behind CJ. He got 2 rookies behind him. There's 2 rookies ain't gonna make it in a marquee game of this stature against a defense that's against an offense that's greatly improved. They were top 5 last year, were they not?
Yeah,
Two
no, they
rookies.
were. Yeah, they were
They
top
need
5
CJ
scoring
bad.
offense.
They didn't see that after this game. They need CJ desperately. It
Oh yeah,
was really rough sledding. Coach Campbell was talking about. I think after half, he was talking about the pre-snap communication. It was you can see how bad it was. There was a lot of confusion.
hmm
And then third down conversions being a really big issue, man. The
well,
crowd was getting some delayed game calls. You can see a whole bunch of stuff happening, but you pick the Lions, and I see why, man. Honestly, life kind of got to me, and I didn't realize that Kelsey wasn't going to play.
mhm.
I read that he was going to go ahead and try to go out there and make a go of it anyway. I felt like Kelsey on one leg would still be better than no Kelsey at all. So I thought he was going to play.
Yeah,
That's why I had it. I think I had him 37-34 was my pick for them. If he wasn't going to be there, guaranteed I would have changed that to something else. But I don't like Gray as much as everybody else does.
yeah,
So I'm like, I would definitely have the Lions in a short margin, but for the
yeah.
win, man. But,
Because it
yeah.
was a knee injury, I knew they weren't going to let him go out there. Like there was no way. A hyperextended knee 2 days before the game. You tweak that just wrong, you're missing 4 to 6 weeks. There's no way they're letting him roll out there and do that.
You're so much smarter than me. That's why. That's fine. But
I don't know about all that, but
there was some defining moments that went on, man. It was like that 2-minute warning in the first half in case he had the ball. That said so much about Detroit, man. They had a 34-yard catch to MVS. You don't hear that name too often. He used to be the Packers, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And then 24 yards to Watson out there. And you're like, oh, boy, these boys about to come back to back, put them on 1st and goal, and the Lions stood up, man. The Lions, they showed up, man. And
that was their big.
I like what happened there too. Yeah,
that was their big knock last year. Is their defense couldn't stop anything, right? They had the worst defense in the league. So,
yeah,
or at least bottom 3. Depending on which stat you're looking at, but so yeah, it was great to see the improvement on their defense. To Herman Rogers' point here, they didn't generate crazy amounts of offense, but Goff did have time. So if you go back and watch, they didn't have that pass rush that Jones helps create. And so, if you're going to let a guy like Goff or Stafford or Cousins or any of those guys, they're not necessarily elite, but if you give them all day, they will destroy your team. Like they will pick you apart.
Oh, absolutely. I think that I don't want to take all the credit from the defense with KC. They did some good things. They're pretty stout around the fact that CJ wasn't there. They had 2 big plays in the fourth where they kind of redeemed themselves. That man, Josh Reynolds, I ain't got time to talk about him. but 2 drive killers with 2 killer drives. Tony had something on his side. A hard one night. Maybe he should stay off of social media instead of DMing all these Giants fans and focus on the game. Maybe he should do that part. But Josh Reynolds, man, he definitely. I'm like, wow, he killed a couple things. I think we're gonna see more Khalif Raymond because of that. Skill over the middle, man, top speed, man. I'm gonna see more Raymond than anything because, well, Reynolds, in all fairness, he did redeem himself. In late quarters, he did make some big catches that helped the Lions move the ball. Great seeing Clyde Edwards-Helaire out there. I'm like, wow, we talking about him being cut. Great runner, showing himself to be a great pass catcher. KC's definitely better with him, man. So, all right, do you believe in the Lions, man?
I believe they win their division. I don't know how much noise they make in the playoffs, but I think they win their division just because of what else is in their division. I don't trust the Bears or the Packers, right? The Bears obviously have a lot of new pieces, so they got to have time for those things to gel.
That game was fun. That game was fun too.
For sure. It got a little out of hand there in the second half, but
a little. My God.
But and Green Bay absolutely looked better than I thought they would. And then of course, the Vikings. I knew they were going to take a step back this year just because there's no way you're going to win 11 and 12 games by 1 score. Like you're going to lose some of those moving forward. That's such an unrealistic thing to keep moving, into the future. And it's one historically they don't do. Now I picked the Vikings in this game, so that didn't work out. But
let's come back to that, brother.
But I knew they were going to step back overall for the year. I didn't expect Tampa to come out and play well because you never know what Baker you're going to get.
Define well. Let's come back to that one though. But how about the Battle of Ohio? Did you get the chance to get a piece of that game?
Yeah,
we were talking about it last week. It was a game of interest to you. Browns and Bengals.
For sure.
Overall, beside the highest paid quarterback in league history, getting benched in the fourth quarter. But beside that part, what'd you like? What didn't you like?
I didn't like most of that game. You got the highest guaranteed money versus the highest contract ever, and they both played horrendously. So in fantasy, the guy I was playing had Burrow, and I had Watson. Right? So you want
154 yards and a touchdown. Did that help you out? Did it help you win?
No. I took a fat L because he had Ayuk, and he murdered my whole team.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, Ayuk by himself pretty much guaranteed my loss. I still have my defense playing today, but unless unless the Jets get like 5 pick sixes, I pretty much not going to win. But there wasn't a lot I liked in that game. That's one of those, I think for both those teams, that is one where in the film room, they'll go through it once, they'll throw the tape away and be like, okay, we're going to move on from that one because there's not even anything teachable from this film because we did everything bad.
Fair enough, man. I guess last point on this, I'm kind of shocked that Burrow had such a rough open. I know he had an issue with his leg and everything, and I get that. But wow, we're talking about 82 total yards.
Yo, it's bad. It was bad.
I couldn't see the game, but so I got to be creative with how I get information, which is my life. It is what it is. No complaints. Don't feel sorry for me. It is what it is. But what happened for you to be throwing 82 for 82? What happened? I mean, I'm trying to figure out, did something happen that I missed? What was going on?
It was just a lot of sloppy football week one.
Was it weather related? Was it snowing?
No. I mean, just ugly football. Like there were so many turnovers and stuff to start off this season. It was just bad. There you go.
You know what? The 100 Battle of Ohio, no bueno. Let's keep moving, man. We can't talk about all the games. We ain't got enough showtime. But how about Houston and Baltimore? Now, I'm bringing that up because in our NFL Super Shows with the Shake Back group, I talked a lot about Houston. Well, I had a hot take about Houston winning 8 games. Now I don't know if that's still going to happen, but they were winning neck and neck with the Ravens for the first half of the game.
Yep.
I mean, the Ravens were getting out hit. I mean, Stroud was outpacing Lamar Jackson by double.
Yeah.
In the first half, the rushing and receivers kind of evenly matched. There wasn't a whole lot going on either side. It was pretty a low scoring game, but they got Dobbins that went out for the season with the ACL. What a bummer, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a killer. I mean, I don't know who's on the street, but matter of fact, you know what? Is Kareem Hunt still available?
He is.
I didn't hear anything. I was kind of just wondering. I'm saying, but Jackson kind of seemed out of sync with the new offense. I know it's a new thing they're trying to do with Monken, but they kept texting out of the end zone for quite a while. But they got multiple injuries now. On top of with Humphrey, they got 2 more DBs injured and 2 more O-line guys. So it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying the Ravens might be going to the Super Bowl. That's some of the chatter that we're hearing. But look what's happening now. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I had the Ravens winning that division. I think injuries become a real problem moving forward. The fact that Stroud did end up with better stats than Lamar is troubling for sure. Now, obviously, Lamar is working through kind of fine tuning his understanding of this offense, but man, with the injuries that they have now, it's going to be tough to continue that pace unless, Burrow this is a continuing thing instead of just a one-off.
And I had them going pretty high. You were part of that podcast, so you know how high I had them going.
Yep.
Week one giving me doubts about a lot of things that I said and picked. I'm starting to have some buyer's remorse right now.
Yeah, right.
For real. I don't know what you were talking about, Carolina and the Falcons at all. You asked about Ritter last week. I couldn't tell you much about him. Now I can. He got sacked 4 times. 15 out of 18 for 116 yards in the score. That's the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. That's the plan. I don't know I don't know where to go with that, man. That's just some observations. I think we can move on to the next game if you want to.
I mean, neither quarterback did anything, right? Because Bryce Young only threw for 146. So I mean, it's not. It's not like that was a high-powered game. That was every bit the game I thought it would be. It's 2 bad teams, so it was going to be, an okay matchup. I had the Falcons there, but it was one of those games where, admittedly, I looked at Red Zone. I didn't watch that game because
Algier put a couple of scores in for him. I mean, that probably was the difference maker right there. That's how they won. Algier and I guess Bijan's touchdown as well. That's how they won the game.
Oh, for sure.
To do with the quarterback for the most part. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. Very interesting.
Well, and Young's 2 interceptions definitely didn't help out.
If you're young, you want to give him some time, but I don't know. How about the? I didn't see anything regarding the Commanders and the Cardinals. If you want to touch on it, you can, man. But no offense to the fans, but I ain't got a whole lot to talk about with the 2 of these teams. So if you're cool with it, we can move on to Mini and Tampa Bay.
Yep.
What you got, bro? Vikings.
Yeah. So, like I said before, I knew the Vikings were going to take a step back. I didn't think they would lose this game, though, just because Tampa is Tampa, right? Like, there's a lot of question marks on that team. Baker, you never know which Baker is going to come out. Like, he can come out and ball out, or he can come out and make it seem like he never got off the team bus. So you never know what you're going to get. So it's tough to pick a Baker-led team. That being said, week 1, Vikings typically do okay. So that's why I went that route. Plus, as an early game, start the season, like that's usually prime Cousins type of stuff. And man, that just was not the case.
Yeah, that was I'm glad it wasn't the game they force fed me here locally because I don't think I want to watch that. I mean, Cousins, he's done what he's normally done. 44 times, 344 yards, and a couple of scores.
Yep.
Not to Jefferson at all, but the rookie Addison and to the running back Madison. I mean, Jefferson had 150 yards, you know what I'm saying, and 9 catches. But I mean, I think the thing that I'm noticing the most about this is that last year they had a record of being undefeated, 11-0 in 1-score games.
Yep.
Last year. That was kind of their market. That's what they were kind of known for, and was special about them.
Yep.
That's why when we beat them, last year, it was like a big deal because they had been doing it so long. But this was like a departure from that. It kind of makes you wonder what happened.
It was the 3 turnovers. The 3 turnovers was the thing. They fumbled twice and had an interception. That was the biggest thing on it.
All right. Any thoughts about Jacksonville? Huh?
I said that same thing yesterday in our NFC West group. I was like, "Oh, Arizona's out here messing around trying to win a game."
I'd have been really shocked that it happened. I mean, the Commanders got a good bit of talent on both sides of the ball, really.
Sure.
I'd have been shocked that if that happened. I'm like, wow, maybe the Commanders are the one doing the tanking. That's what I would have thought. But Jags and Colts. I mean, there was some good things there. I was watching. I knew really would do what he was going to do because he's the number one. I knew Trevor was going to feed him. Not shocked by that at all. I wanted to see what Richardson was going to do.
Yep.
If he was going to find a nice dance partner, he did with Pittman. 11 receptions for 97 yards, a little short of 100 for a score. He threw an interception as well, but imagine what it would have been, what could have been if Jonathan Taylor was on the field. I mean, it could have been.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a win, but they were playing the Jazz pretty tough. I think everybody had some week one issues. It seemed like everybody seemed to have a hard time getting out of the gate. Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I never put a ton of stock in a week one win or loss, just because it's that, right? Like your team is still trying to gel. This is the first time your number ones are playing an entire game together, at speed. Some of these teams, it's the first time their starters have even got on the field. So I don't put a ton of stock in game one. The odds of a team going undefeated is just about zero anyway. So, I mean, if you got to get your loss out of the way right up front, cool. But, that being said, you don't want to see a blowout. Those are never fun. But
I'm getting mixed messages from you. I'm getting mixed messages.
No, we both got beat up.
Wait a minute. Don't put too much stock in week one. And I'm hearing you say, if it's a blowout, which should I be encouraged? Discouraged? I'm confused.
I'm saying I don't like seeing a blowout because that means your team didn't come prepared at all. So I can take buildable things in a loss, but when you get blown out, you don't usually have that, right? You usually just we're terrible in all three phases of the game. So there's not a lot to build on there.
All right.
So that's why I don't like to see that. But like if you're competitive and a loss in week one, I mean, again, it's a lot of moving parts that haven't played a lot together. Naturally, you want to win, right? Because it's better to stack wins than have to come off a loss. But if you were gonna take an L, week one is that week.
All right. Well, we got 7 games to talk about, so we need to be a little bit faster because we're up against it time-wise. No, that's not even that's both of us. All right. San Fran and Pitt. Do you want to touch that because you get to see Niners where you are locally? Do you want to touch on that, or you want to move on? No problem for me. Either way.
No, I mean, so it was a bigger blowout than I thought it would be, but I knew the Niners would win that handily. They're just a better team. There was more depth. I don't think the Steelers are quite there yet.
Everybody's saying they were though. That's the funny part. Everybody is putting them in places where we had no evidence that they can get there, and look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is the media will spin up whatever storyline they need to. I'm kind of a fan of the eye test, right? Like I want to see some of that production, not just, oh, these guys on paper can do it. Well, on paper, the Browns should have been awesome for a decade. So,
let's keep that train moving for real. Let's not do that. We don't have that kind of time. How about the Titans and the Saints, man? Anything on that one? I was just looking at Derek Carr, kind of to see how he would function in this new offense. That was my only real investment in the game.
Yep.
He threw 33 times for 305 yards, which was good. Yep. Touchdown wise, I think he threw 1. I think it was. And that was a guy named Rashid Shaheed.
I forget what his stats were exactly.
Rashid Shaheed. I have no idea who that was, but he went 23 for 33, 305 yards. Olave had 112, and Shaheed had 89 and a touchdown. Beside that, though, they both struggled offensively in this game. They were trading field goals for most of the day, so that could be a week one thing, like you said. I don't know.
Well, I mean, both teams have nice pieces, and yeah, you could tell there was.
I want to come back to the comments at the end of the show. So let's move this along, right? I need time for a few things. Come on, bro. Let's go, man.
Anyway,
what you got, man?
So yeah, I mean the offenses did struggle at pieces. I liked what I saw out of the Saints defense. The Titans, I don't really trust. I picked the Saints in this one. I didn't think it was going to be quite the game that it was. I thought the score was going to be higher, but I thought it was going to be a Saints edging them out.
Me too. I got nothing for the Raiders and the Broncos right now, brother. I'm going to be honest. I don't have anything.
So it was kind of an ugly game. Like there wasn't.
My eyes are on Wilson because I had some predictions that I made about him. So I'm watching that. I didn't see anything yet. We're talking about it being a week 1. Let's move on.
Yep.
That Philly and New England game. I want to spend time on it, but I know we don't have it. So I just saying the better quarterback didn't win yesterday. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, Mac Jones looked fantastic. I don't know what changed. I don't know if it's an offensive court. I don't know what happened. Something. I think he got the same coordinator, but something changed. That man looked great out there. The Eagles are not nobody to mess with. Their defense is amazing.
Yeah.
Mac Jones was just hitting everybody.
Yeah, no, he was really accurate. I mean,
he was picking them apart. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, no, he had a great game. It didn't quite get there, but I mean, it's against the team that is supposed to be back in the Super Bowl. So credit to Mac Jones and that Patriots team. They look like they can make some noise. Unfortunately, they're in a division where they're not the best team.
Facts. I want to give you a little bit of time with the Seahawks if you need to have that, but let's come back to that.
Yep.
Miami and the Chargers. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a dogfight. I'm very, very shocked and disappointed in what I saw from the Chargers. I mean, I knew Tyreek would do what he was going to do, 215 for 2 scores. That's not really a surprise for me.
Yeah.
Tua going to feed that man because he's the fastest man in the world, apparently, right? So Tua going to feed him. No big deal there. Tua was healthy, stayed on the field. So we wanted. The offense for the Bolts were uninspired.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? All the talent you guys got? That was ugly. You predicted it 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yep. That coach is going to get fired.
Yeah.
It's only a matter. I'm watching to see when it's going to happen because that was an uninspiring performance. I don't even remember the score. I don't even care. That was just bad.
Yeah, I mean, they barely lost. But they barely lost. But the thing is that team finds ways to lose. And that's why I think Staley ends up getting fired. They just, for whatever reason, when it matters, they either just can't get it done or it's a coaching decision or like there's always some hiccup that keeps them from moving on. It's going to be, that Chargers going to Charger thing is, unfortunately, Staley embraces that. And so, it's one of those teams where you kind of, at some point you want them to finally do something. It's the Lions, right? Like everybody has that kind of in the back of your mind. You're like, man, it'd be cool if the Lions ever did something. The Chargers kind of have that same feel to it because forever, whether it was Rivers or whatever, just for whatever reason, the Chargers can never seem to quite get it done. And I think Staley getting out of there might be the thing.
Oh man, don't do this. This is not what I need right now. Everybody knows. Well, most folks know that's my quote unquote second favorite team. You killing me right now. I don't need that. Packers and the Bears. It was an ugly game from a score perspective, but the Packers Jordan Love looked good, man.
He did.
I'm shocked.
He did.
I didn't expect it.
I did not pick that game right.
Well, who did I pick? I forgot. I thought I picked the Packers. But
I don't remember who you picked offhand.
I had to dig that out. But yeah, I think I picked the Packers, but I didn't.
I think you're right. I think you did pick the Pack. I picked the Bears. I thought they were going to be able to just kind of edge them at home, but that was not the case. The Bears played terribly.
Score was closer. I thought my score was closer than what it was, but man, them Bears. All that talent they put on that field, they paid for so much talent. This is wow. Justin Fields looked horrible. He looked horrible. I'm like, this is what you expect after all the turmoil in the offseason and all that's going on. You really? And the Packers were undermanned, to say the least. They didn't have a lot of stuff going on talent-wise. Aaron Jones got injured, apparently. They had a lot of stuff going on against it. That was all you Justin Fields fans, I don't know, man. You got beat by 18.
Well, so the thing that's funny is the stat line isn't crazy different, right? So Love threw for 245, Justin Fields threw for 216, right? So I mean, it's not like it was a huge disparity in that way. It's just Love threw for 3 touchdowns, Fields throws for 1 and a pick.
If Fields and Love were equal, that would make sense. But they're not supposed to be equals.
I mean, you're not
The
wrong,
the
especially with all the hype.
Fields is supposed to be the second coming of something, whatever. That's
Yep.
not. It's not supposed to be apples versus apples. This is apples and oranges. I thought. Love, I played that boy.
For sure.
Simple. All right, here's your time, brother.
They looked better all across the field.
Use it wisely, man. Don't hurt us now with time. Seattle Rams.
Yep.
Go, baby. You got it. It's all you.
Yeah. So I mean, it was what I was talking about that I was worried about with this team. Right? Is that defense, especially up front, couldn't really get it done. So if you look at next gen stats and you look at where Stafford was throwing the ball, it was all through the middle because we couldn't stop anything in the middle. There was plenty of running room up front. There was all the crossing passes. It was tough to watch, especially because, the show that I was on before the game, I was like, well, if the Rams are going to win, the way they're going to do it is if the Hawks couldn't stop Eckler and they can't stop any crossing paths. And then you look at the stats for what he hit, and it's like, oh, it's all in those spots. It's like,
you said Eckler?
Huh?
You said Eckler?
Oh, sorry, Akers, Cam Akers.
Oh, I'm like,
Akers. And then, on the offensive side, not being able to open gaps. That's what I was curious about up front. And they were okay in the first half. Then they lose both of their offensive tackles, and it was a wrap from there. Geno just ended up getting hit a lot.
Yeah, I heard ESPN sent me a notification about me. Somebody said audible. Oh my God! When Aaron Donald was coming, I didn't watch it because I didn't have time. But wow,
yeah,
it was a laugh out loud moment on the line. I'm like, oh my God! Aaron Donald had that kind of impact on people, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. He does. He is a monster, and he was looking fast out there. So it looks like he has dropped some weight and is back to his go and hurt some quarterbacks type of physique.
Boy. Well, before we get into the comments and end our show, I'm going to attempt to try to do what you just did with my favorite team, the New York Football Giants.
Oof.
For some reason, they didn't play football yesterday. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but I mean, honestly, I can get what people feel out there. I've been a fan for a long time, my entire life for the most part. So it's been well over 40 years that I've been riding with Big Blue, man. I don't think I've ever seen a performance like this in my entire history that I can recall. I don't think I've ever seen this before. If you go to school and you get an F on a test and you bring it back to me as a parent, I'm like, the F tells me that, you know what? You didn't do anything. No effort. You might have got a few answers right and lucked out, but you didn't do anything. F is a total lack of F. A D is like, I tried, but it wasn't enough. A F is like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't even put my name on the top of the paper. I didn't do anything. These boys came out here with an F on national television at home in Jersey.
In the rain, where you should have an advantage.
Common sense will tell you. I mean, I'm not trying to be armchair quarterback because I really kind of hate those kind of folks. So I hate in a non-hate way. Okay, you get what I'm saying. But I don't ever want to be that. If I'm not, slap me from a distance. All right, I don't ever want to be that person. But if it's raining out there, you should be doing what the Lions were doing. Wasn't it raining there too as well? Lions and the Chiefs. I think it was raining, was it not?
No, they were.
I thought it was raining during that game too. Yeah,
was it?
I thought.
Okay.
They set the pass up with the run. It's raining. That's your advantage. Pass later. Run first. It's not hard to figure out. People been doing it for centuries now. It's not hard, but for some reason we up in here trying to throw the ball, and I don't understand. I mean, it was a great start offensively. I was so excited about the first drive until the bad part happened. But we look like we had continuity. We look like DJ could see the field where he had time. He wasn't being rushed. It looked pretty good. I mean, all credit, man. Dallas defense is incredible. They were super fast.
Oh,
Them boys,
yeah, they were amazing.
the boys are getting to DJ real fast. I'm like, you got to give them credit for that. Our O line, there's some problems there. We got to work that stuff out. Is Evan Neal a bust? We'll talk about it on future shows. But
so I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. So
I'm a wounded duck, man. I don't know.
So is Dable just trying to kill Jones by the end of the game? I mean, you're getting smoked. Like, pull your boy out. Like, I mean, you've been sacked 7 times already. Let's try not to get your hallmark quarterback you just paid on IR, because I mean they're running through that line at that point.
It felt almost like it was punishment,
right?
But it wasn't his fault. If you want to punish somebody, keep the O line out there and put Tyrod Taylor in there.
Exactly.
Let them feel the burn of that. It wasn't DJ's fault. According to my Twitter page, he's the reason why all this bad stuff is happening. I'm like, how? He can't protect himself. That's ridiculous. Right. All them idiots on Twitter saying that, we don't acknowledge you, okay? But I mean, they abandoned the run game, which is unwise. You should have been keeping that going because if you're going to deal with a pass rush like Dallas's, how do you handle that?
Yeah.
You got to run.
Yep.
That's how they get tired and winded, and you have an opportunity there. Yep. Do what Detroit did. Set the pass up with the run. Mm-hmm. We should have did that. We didn't do that. And I can't even explain the goose egg. I don't know how to explain it. I ain't trying to be cute. I really don't know what to say. I mean, I saw enough as much as I can. After a while, I was watching PBS murder mysteries. I couldn't take no more. I turned the channel. I was watching PBS. I couldn't take no more. I'm like, I need some education or something to make me happy because this was bad. I'm like, how did you get 0? Graham Gano just got paid. The boy didn't do no work yesterday. She got a new contract extension. Didn't kick nothing. I'm like, he didn't get a chance to give him a chance to even get a field goal. I mean, 0, 40-0 on national TV. Man,
he did miss a couple field goals.
He missed a couple.
Yeah,
I must have been watching another mystery. I missed that part, but whatever.
Yeah, no, he missed a couple of field goals. Like
I mean, in the rain, that's not impossible. It's raining. I'm not. Yeah. It doesn't shock me
because Dallas missed their first extra point also. Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't pretty. Like there was a lot of rain, so the kicking game was going to suffer a little bit. But even still, best case scenario, it was going to be 41-6. Like that's not awesome either. But yeah, I mean, it's I just really
means no points still, right? Even with the new math, 0 still means no points, right?
It sure does. Okay. It sure does. Yeah, no, but I mean, even if all the kicks were made, it would have ended up 41-6. So I mean, it's not like it's a huge difference.
I saw a little clip of Dabo's post conference.
Yep.
All I heard was Charlie Brown's teacher.
It's funny because in that press conference, right, he got asked, why did you leave Jones out there? And he's like, oh, well, we were just trying to get something positive, some drive or whatever. It's like, okay, well, by the time you were halfway through the fourth quarter and he's been, sacked one more time and hit like 3 or 4 more times, like at some point, make a business decision, realize that drive ain't happening, right? What, you're going to get a garbage time point? Like you're not going to take any solace in that. So just put your backup in, live to play another day. Now, fortunately, he didn't get hurt, but I mean, the opportunity's always there.
Hate to end like that, but we're going to have to. I'm going to talk about some of these comments real quick. Yep. We can go ahead and close out. We can finish this on Twitter. Our friend Joanne says she's taking Russell Wilson in our poll question. She's sentimental about him. Not a Seahawks fan, but her sister is. She wants to see him do great one last time. I feel that last part.
Yeah.
I hate how things went with Seattle because they had an opportunity there in a lot of ways, even with the whole Marshawn Lynch thing. They could have done a lot of things. So I'm excited to kind of see that happen as well. Her other part, the second poll question, is trying to keep the school children from finding out before their parents tell them about the towers and the plane crash. Wow, some deep stuff there. Okay. Somebody, Herb and Raj believe in Russ because they don't believe in the other teams at all. Okay. You guys just watched the picture last night, didn't it?
So the the problem with the poll question, right, is you're saying which one can make it to the playoffs, and they're both in a spot where I don't think any of them go. Like,
okay. Thanks, Killjoy.
I think all three teams miss the playoffs.
All right, Killjoy. Appreciate it. Oh, tie. All right. Okay. Okay. The Tucker thing is just sad. You're absolutely right. All I think about his comments against Michigan, all the things he said, I'm like, wow, man, take care of your own house. Don't worry about us.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
Man, but yeah. My vote isn't against Mac, it's against his division. I think they finished last. That's a fair assessment, man. Fair assessment. They got a lot of talent going on, man. I mean, Miami showed a lot of that yesterday against the Chargers. There's a lot going on there. And we still got a Monday Night Football game tonight with the Bills and the Jets. We're going to find out who drops to 0-1 out of those two games. So totally get that. Burrow got paid and took a week 1 vacation. I hope that's not so. That's pretty sad. Got some comments about Justin Jefferson in the Herb and Watch podcast. He forgot Jefferson in the second half. I don't know how you can forget your number one talent, but sure. All right. While you jump in, any chance my Finns get Taylor? I forgot the date. The date's in October, I think, for the deadline to trade him.
Yeah, it's weekend, I
believe. There's definitely a chance the Finns should be somebody who should be knocking on the door for that. Because right now, Raheem Mostert, who I actually liked, I played him in fantasy for a long time. I liked him on the Niners. I thought that he was pretty good, but never really saw him as the number one, which he is right now. I mean, I know Ahmed is back there, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right. Devin Aiken. I'm not pronouncing his name right. But they're back there. But I feel what Rod feels. They need to have that de facto number one and push everybody down the depth chart. So I think that if anybody should be trying to go after him, it should be the Finns. I totally get that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. This is my partner right here, y'all. My partner on the call, Mr. U, attacking me. Hit me with the blowout loss comment. It did hurt, brother. It did hurt a lot.
We both got blown out. Like, our teams combined were a 70-13 L.
Oh, Herbert's pouring it on with actual quotes. A week 1 loss is okay. If the team less or national TV, then it's bad.
Ouch.
Wow. Actual with quotations to go with it. Very hurtful. Very, very hurtful. All right. Yeah, that hurt. Hurt me as well. I thought the Giants would win at least by 1 point, but apparently that's not so. But anyways, great show, brother. Thank you again so much. We did a week 1, my first one in history. So hopefully I did a good job. You know this. You're an expert. You've done plenty of week 1, so I hope I did this one justice. But it's been a great show, man. Thank you again. Oh, man. So wherever you are, guys, and however you listen to the Call Me Mr. U, the podcast, we thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week with your weekly mirror check before you go change the world. You know how to find us: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Football Talk with Bo. Follow that man. He knows his ball. He knows sports, man. So follow him and subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. Tell me where to find you on YouTube, man. You got multiple shows going on, man. Shout out.
So you can find me on my channel at Football-Talk, and of course on Twitter at Football Talk with Bo. Come chat. Be sure to like and subscribe the YouTube channel. It helps everybody out as content creators, so it's real important to subscribe.
Please like, share, subscribe. Go change the world, baby. We out. See you week 2.
Take it easy, guys.